Hi everyone and welcome to Inderes TV. Today I'm here with Analyst Atte Riikola. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we have an extensive report on WithSecure, and you're the man of the hour, and we've been writing this piece. So let's dig into it. A picture of the company and the situation right now.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So WithSecure, it's all about cybersecurity, but that could mean approximately, anything to a random walk. So what does the company really do? Or what do they sell?
Yeah. WithSecure nowadays is purely focused on like corporate cybersecurity. Mostly like with their software products. So nowadays, roughly 80% of their revenues are coming from the different kind of software. And if you think what kind of products do they have, there's basically like their bread and butter from the long history is like those endpoint protection products. Most of the revenues are still coming from those. So basically, for every company in the history, they were called like antivirus software. So you can block all of the malware and different kind of security threats with that software. But nowadays we know that if someone or some hacker wants to penetrate into some IT environment, he or she will do it. So nowadays you have to have different kind of software solutions for those targeted attacks, and then we're talking about endpoint detection and response, so you can detect those attacks and fight against those attacks if those happen. So that's other part, and that's like growing area. And the newest area is called exposure management. So of course now we know that everybody's talking about AI. So now when the AI gets in the hands of hackers, so everybody can start scanning different kind of vulnerabilities in the firm's IT system. So and it will be very fast. So now you have to start to also proactively try to get all of those vulnerabilities or find them in your IT systems and patch them before the hackers
spotting
so
it's too late.
So it's always like now. It's always fighting against the hackers, and you have to be faster than the hackers.
So different kind of solutions.
Yeah.
So what's the typical customer? What does it look like?
Now in their new strategy, the focus is on the mid-market, which means like companies employing 200 to 2,000 people. There is also lots of smaller customers than that from the history using those endpoint protection solutions. But there is also larger customers, for example, on that consulting business. There's like big banks and that kind of other institutions that are companies' customers.
So and they're geographically they're in the Nordics and Europe.
Most of the revenues are coming from the let's say Northern Europe. So it's like most of the revenues are coming from Europe, but there is also some business in, for example, in Japan and North America. But Europe is not the main market.
Yeah, and the market is humongous. It goes without saying that these are products that everyone needs. But I mean, could you say something about the market in the picture? How is it?
Every time we talk about cybersecurity, everybody notices that it's a big market. It's been growing very fast in the, let's say, past 20 years. Nowadays it's roughly over $200 billion. So it's a huge market. Lots of opportunities, and from WithSecure's perspective, they're like total addressable market. It's over 20 billion of that. So there's like lots of potential, but and if you think about especially that WithSecure's revenues are a little bit over 100 million, so it's a small player in a very big pond. So it's like the growth is not limited by the size of the
size of the market. No, but you kind of have, before going into the case, you kind of have to put the market on the map, kind of, because it's humongous. But we also, I mean, since we have legislation and we live in the world that we live in, this is also something that attracts competitors. And I mean, there are a lot of competitors as well. I mean, Microsoft, for instance, or am I wrong?
Yeah. It's always like when everybody talks about cyber. Yeah, it's a growing market. It has to be like a great investment opportunity, but because it's hot market, it has attract lots of competition, and that's like I think the main threat in the overall cybersecurity landscape, that it's so fiercely competitive market. So and in WithSecure's competitive landscape, like it's Microsoft has been raising their head in the past couple of years. They have actually pretty competitive solutions in the endpoint protection, and they are also like they can be competitive on the pricing, and they have been taking market share. There's also a couple of like more modern cloud players, for example, CrowdStrike, that has been growing very fast and taking market share from the more incumbent players in the, let's say, last 5 years. And also, if you look at the market growth versus WithSecure's growth, it can be also seen that I believe that for example, Microsoft has been eating some of those WithSecure's clients.
Yeah, but they also have the possibility to sell this as an added product with all the other packages they sell.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, so that's an advantage. But if you look at WithSecure, do we know anything of what kind of edges it would have against them, and how do you compete against Microsoft? Or what about the technology? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah, from technological perspective, basically most of those like cybersecurity vendors, if you look, for example, some kind of Gartner's Magic Quadrant where it's like listed like, let's say, 20-30 different vendors, there is not that big, or it's especially from the customers or buyers perspective, you cannot see that big difference between those technologies. So it's more about your ability to sell those products and give good customer service. And of course, that if you want to get like global scale for the product, you have to have good partners that are selling the product. So it's also about winning the right partners and giving good terms for them that they want to sell your products instead of some other products.
So but the technology is on the same level. What could the other edges be against moats against competitors?
Yeah, it's very hard to get like or talk about moats in this space because it's so competitive. But where WithSecure differences from the competitors, it's like an European cybersecurity vendor because most of the companies are coming from North America and especially Europe. There is some customers that want that their cybersecurity issues are handled by a European provider. So that's one competitive edge, basically.
Yeah.
All the others, it's very very hard to compete in this.
Yeah, I can imagine. So now we have established where they are kind of in the big picture. Now let's look at the case. And there has been happening a lot in a very short time.
Yeah.
It was a divestment from F-Secure in 2 years ago or something.
Yeah. It was actually almost basically just like 2 years ago. Exactly. And it was demerger. So before there was a company called F-Secure, then it changed its name to WithSecure, and then nowadays there is also a company called F-Secure, but it's like the consumer security side of the business because before they were together under the same roof.
Yeah, and now 2 years, total new business, and then when they went kind of on their own or started from, not from scratch, but started their new journey, they were really growth focused, and they had their organization was built for growth as well, and they just had to realize the harsh facts that it didn't go as planned, and there have been a lot of, could you say, spring cleaning almost in the company right now. It
was like that after the demerger, and of course the market situation was looking much better at that point, and there was like pretty high and ambitious growth expectations. And after that, we know that the economic situation has been developing pretty badly, and that's also affected many companies' IT budgets, and that's affected also the cybersecurity projects and other buying of cybersecurity solutions. So that's affected WithSecure's growth. It hasn't been that fast as was planned, and that's why, because the organization was built that it could have been able to support much higher growth, and it was still like making pretty heavy losses on that time. So now, after the market situation cooled off, they had to make pretty tough decisions and make lots of restructuring
and building a new strategy.
And cost savings. There have been like huge OPEX cost savings, and now actually, if you look at the past couple of quarters, they have been turning the business profitable, like on EBITDA level. So there's been tough things that they haven't been doing, but now it's looking like better. And if you think about the its profitability wise now it's like on a healthy level, and now if they are able to now again accelerate the growth in the coming years, it should start to also be visible in the profits pretty nicely.
Yeah. So do you think they are doing the right things when looking at the whole picture?
Yeah, and I like that they are now focusing even more on that software business, and especially the cloud native software business. So they are heavily focused on that, and also looking to divest the consulting business. So
what about that? That's one change to come still. When will this happen? And you seem to think it's a good idea?
Yeah, it should actually happen. It can happen pretty soon actually, because I think there have been sometimes they have mentioned that it's before the summer, but I think we're already living in the summer, so those processes can take time. But I think it's possible that it's going to happen this year. It's basically like 20% of their revenues now, so it's kind of big divestment.
Yeah, and you mentioned already that you could see the results from putting some smaller shoes on regarding the organization and slimming it down.
We can see that they have been able to improve the gross margins in the software business, and at the same time when you cut your OPEX levels and you still keep on growing, it's been, you can see from their profitability measures that it's improving very nicely. And actually if you looked only like the core business, the software business, it was like profitable first time on Q1
this year. So you can certainly see some results there.
Yeah.
So, but I still have to. I know I'm dwelling on this. But what did go wrong in the with the growth? Was it just because going forward you need to sell this stuff anyway, and they were really into selling. I saw somewhere that 50% of the revenue was being put into sales and marketing, like percentage wise, and they still didn't succeed. So what's different now? Did they put too much into selling and too little into development? Or
there's also some other cost items inside that cost line, so it's not only about sales and marketing, but in the big picture the one thing is of course that the market situation got worse than expected. That's affected the growth, but of course you could have done better with your own measures also. And I think one thing is that the merger of the company was like a very big thing, and you had to separate all the systems and build all the admin and IT and research and development. It takes time, and especially on the technology side there has been like huge work going on past 2 years, and of course that has affected somewhat the firm's ability also to grow, I think. But otherwise it's been also a tough market, and like I said before, it's very competitive market, and there is like a very fierce competitors, so it's also affecting some of the growth.
But actually in hindsight with the divestment and all the things that going on under the hood, in a short time, so they have been turning it around since it's you have been seeing the visible results. So interesting. But what would you think, what would be the case cracker going forward? You mentioned earlier the exposure, am I saying this? Exposure management. I think Microsoft also, if I understood this correctly, Microsoft also introduced some new tools.
There's going to be I believe there's going to be lots of competitors in this market. It's like a very, very new just emerging market. And there is always like new trends and new market pockets that are emerging because the technological change is so fast in this market. So there's always going to be new solutions and that kind of stuff. But it's not like I don't believe it's like a game changer, but it's like one new piece of software in the whole Elements portfolio that is gonna be one part of the future growth, but it's not like a game changer. It's more about, I think, that the market situation improves, and now the company is more focused, and if they are able to execute with their sales plans, there is like a very good opportunity to accelerate the growth.
Actually, something about the business model there also, it switched to SaaS model in this other involvement as well, so affecting the cash flow in a positive direction.
It's been like a pretty long transition from in the history there was pretty many customers on the on-premise software. Now nowadays it's actually most of the software is coming from the cloud-based products. So that transition is going, or has been going pretty nicely, and now the whole focus is on the cloud-native products, basically.
Yeah. So interesting, and now kind of on the right track. We've seen better ways in the profitability. But what about the valuation? I'm reading your own words because this was kind of interesting. Beneath the surface, however, the current valuation seems low relative to the progress and the ongoing turnaround in the core business.
Yeah.
So.
Basically, we know that the core business, if you think about it's software business, your gross margins it's nowadays like 80%, and
really
now
high.
It's like turning still profitable, and if they are able to grow it in the future, it's gonna be more profitable due to those high gross margins. And the whole WithSecure nowadays is trading with a little bit over 1x sales. So in relation to that, it looks pretty attractive, because now we know that the turnaround is progressing, and of course. It's been trading for a while with these low multiples, and of course you always need some catalyst. What's gonna make some difference to that situation? But now we can see that in the near future there is gonna be that divestment of that consulting business. That could be one trigger. So then it's even more focused company, and other thing I think is that if the turnaround continues in the coming quarters, I think at some point investors will notice that, hey, this is trading actually with very low multiple, and I think there is potential to improve the profitability still pretty much on those current low levels. So that's another trigger. So let's say on the next 2 years, I see this. It's a very interesting case. But if I look in the long term, like I said, the market is so competitive. That's like a big risk, and it's like it's hard to say that this. Or I cannot recommend for you that now buy WithSecure and hold it for next 10 years, because the market's changing so fast. It's so competitive. But let's say for the next couple of years, I see they're a very interesting case, because it's pretty straightforward where like how the turnout is progressing, and I also believe that the market situation will improve and the growth will pick up somewhat.
So the recommendation right now is?
Yeah, we're on accumulate, so not buy, accumulate.
That's a slightly different there.
Yeah.
But thank you so much, Atte, for all these comments, and you can read the report with the link down below. 40+ pages.